Your first $10,000 shouldn't go into the stock market. And I know that sounds insane because every finance bro on this platform told you the exact opposite. But if you invested right now, you just guaranteed you'll stay broke longer. Here's what actually wealthy people do instead. The people who actually become wealthy, not the ones selling courses about becoming wealthy, the ones who quietly build seven-figure net worths over 20 years, they almost never invest their first 10 grand. They do something way more boring, way less sexy, and honestly, way smarter. Because here's what nobody wants to admit. The stock market doesn't care about your life falling apart. Compound interest is adorable in theory, but it's utterly useless when your car dies and you need to get to work tomorrow. So, what do they do instead? Well, that's where this gets interesting. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I know where this is going. Emergency fund, blah, 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 put it in a high-yield savings account. And you're partially right, but that's not the full picture. And honestly, if that's all you do, you're still leaving money on the table. See, the real trick isn't just having $10,000 sitting somewhere safe. It's understanding what that money is actually buying you. And it's not buying you a retirement in 2060. It's buying you something way more valuable right now. It's buying you options. It's buying you time. And most importantly, it's buying you the ability to tell certain people and certain situations to absolutely go screw themselves. But we'll get to that. First, let me tell you why investing this money right now is probably the dumbest thing you could do with it. Let's run a fun little thought experiment. You just saved your first $10,000. And by the way, massive respect because that's genuinely hard for most people. You're feeling good. You're feeling responsible. So you dump it all into an S&P 500 index fund because that's what Reddit told you to do. Great. At a 7% average annual return, in 1 year, you might have $10,700. Congrats! You made $700 before taxes. You're basically Warren Buffett. But then, your car breaks down. The mechanic says it's $2,200 to fix. You don't have $2,200 in cash because it's all in the market. So what do? You pull out the credit card. 24% APR. And suddenly that $2,200 repair is costing you about $500 a year in interest if you're paying it off slowly. Which you probably are because, life keeps happening. So let's do the math. Your investments made you $700. Your credit card is costing you $500 plus. Net benefit? Maybe $200, if nothing else goes wrong, which it will. But hey, at least you're investing, right? At least you can tell people at parties that you're in the market. That's worth something, I think. Maybe. Here's what people who actually build wealth do with that first 10 grand. And I'm warning you now, it's going to sound boring as hell. Step 1. They remove fragility. They take 3 to 6 months of their core expenses, not their fun money, not their treat-yourself budget, their actual survival costs, and they put it somewhere boring and safe. A high-yield savings account, a money market fund, somewhere it can't disappear, but you can grab it in 24 hours. But it's just sitting there. Yeah, it's sitting there like a fire extinguisher sits there, useless right up until the moment it saves your entire life. Because here's the actual secret. Wealth trajectories aren't decided by 6 stock picks. They're decided by whether or not you get completely reset to zero when life punches you in the face. And life will punch you in the face. That's not pessimism. That's just being over the age of 25. The Federal Reserve has studied this. You know what derails most households financially? It's not bad investments. It's financial shocks. The car repair, the medical bill, the sudden job loss, the stuff you can't predict. And here's the insidious part. Once you go into debt to handle an emergency, you start a death spiral. High-interest debt means you have less money each month. Less money each month means the next emergency is more likely to wreck you, which means more debt, which means less money. And congratulations, you're now on the hamster wheel to nowhere. The emergency fund isn't about making money. It's about not losing the game before you even get to play. But, and this is where it gets spicy, wealthy people don't stop at the emergency fund. Step 2, they weaponize the rest. Whatever's left after they've built that buffer, they use it to make more money, not through investments, through income. Let's say you've got $10,000 total. You put $5,000 in the emergency fund. What do you do with the other $5,000? Option A, invest it. Make maybe $350 this year if the market's kind to you. Option B, use $3,000 to get an IT certification that bumps your salary from $42,000 to $52,000. Let's see. $350 versus $10,000 extra per year. Wow, that's a real head-scratcher. I'm sure the personal finance subreddit will tell you the certification is risky and you should just dollar cost average into VTSAX, but they also think eating rice and beans for 5 years to retire at 35 is a good personality trait, so maybe we don't listen to them. Here's the thing. Early in your financial life, your income is your greatest asset, not your investment portfolio. Your ability to earn money is worth way more than any pile of cash you've managed to save. A 20% raise is worth more than a 20% stock return on 10 grand every single time, forever. So wealthy people use that money to get certifications that unlock higher pay, buy a reliable car so they can take a better job across town, move to a city with better opportunities, buy tools or equipment that let them freelance at higher rates. They're not trying to make their money work for them yet. They're using their money to make themselves more valuable. And that's the actual cheat code. But let's say you're sitting on credit card debt, like real credit card debt, the 22, 24, 26% APR nightmare fuel stuff. If you invest your first $10,000 while carrying high-interest debt, you are financially illiterate. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. That's just math being mean to you. You know what a guaranteed 22% return looks like? It looks like paying off a credit card that's charging you 22% interest. That's it. That's the secret. Warren Buffett would weep with joy if he could get a guaranteed 22% annual return. You have that opportunity right now, and you're thinking about putting money in an index fund that might give you 7%? Come on, we're better than this. Now, I'm not saying pay off your 3% student loans. Those are basically free money, and you should milk that for as long as possible. But the credit cards, the payday loans, the buy now, pay later zombie debt that's quietly eating 25% of your paycheck, nuke it immediately before you do anything else. Because every month you don't, you're lighting money on fire to keep yourself warm when you could just go inside. Okay, so let's put this all together with a real example. Meet Sarah, age 26. Makes $62,000 a year, has $6,000 in credit card debt at 20% interest, just inherited $10,000 from her grandma. Path A, the smart investor, puts all $10,000 in index funds, continues paying minimums on credit card. After 5 years, maybe has $14,000 invested, still has credit card debt, and has paid like $4,000 in interest. Net position, basically sideways. Path B, the boring wealth builder, uses $6,000 to pay off credit card completely, puts $4,000 in emergency fund. That $300 a month that was going to credit card payments now goes to 401k. After 5 years, has $18,000 plus invested, zero debt, hasn't paid a penny in interest, sleeps better. Net position, actually winning. The difference isn't the stock market. The difference is that Sarah in Path B removed the chaos from her life. She stopped the bleeding. And then she could actually build something. And here's the part that doesn't show up in spreadsheets. When you have a buffer, when you're not drowning in debt, when your car isn't held together by prayers and duct tape, you make better decisions. You can negotiate your salary because you're not desperate. You can take a calculated risk on a new job because you won't be homeless if it doesn't work out. You can say no to a toxic workplace because you've got 3 months of runway. That's what the first $10,000 buys you. It doesn't buy you a retirement. It buys you options. It buys you leverage. It buys you the ability to play offense instead of defense. Look, I know this isn't sexy. I know it's way more fun to imagine yourself as a stock market genius who retires at 30 because you bought the right index fund at the right time. But that's a fantasy. And fantasies are great for Marvel movies and terrible for your bank account. The reality is that wealth is built slowly, carefully, and boringly. It's built by people who understand that the first step isn't making money grow, it's making sure you don't lose it in the first place. First, you stabilize. You build the buffer. You kill the high-interest debt. You remove the chaos. Then, you accelerate. You use money to raise your income. You invest in yourself before you invest in the market. And then, only then, do you start investing seriously. You max out the 401k match. You open the Roth IRA. You dollar-cost average like a responsible adult. But you do it from a position of strength, not desperation, and that makes all the difference. So here's your action plan. If you've got your first $10,000 or you're working towards it, build a real emergency fund first. 3 to 6 months of expenses, non-negotiable. Nuke any debt above 12 to 15% interest. That's a guaranteed return. Use whatever's left to raise your income. Certifications, tools, relocation, whatever unlocks more money. Then start investing, not before. Wealth starts with stability, not stocks, not crypto, not side hustles or passive income or any of the dopamine hits the algorithm wants to sell you. Just boring, unglamorous, incredibly powerful stability. Do this right, and in 5 years, you won't be asking how to invest your first $10,000. You'll be asking how to invest your first $100,000. And that's a way better problem to have.